house call. It's my son. So this is what goes on. Let's say hello to him on the air.
An inmate at Northern State Prison. This call will be monitored and recorded. For customer assistance, correction, or complaint procedures, or to block future calls, dial 1. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hey, Jim, how are you, son? We're on the air right now. You're on the air. You're live.
All right.
What's going on, Jimmy? How you doing? Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
Say hello to Scott. He's host of his show.
Jim, how you doing? This is Scott from the Sober Sitdown, and I'm sitting here with your dad and your cousin Steve.
What's up? How are you? I'm all right.
So, we're here talking about jails and society and doing the right thing with people's lives, and you just called in. So, as a guy that's sitting in jail, what's your advice to a kid that's out on the street not doing the right thing?
Oh, I don't know. It's just not worth it at all. Got a lot of years in jail, and I don't know. It's definitely not a place anybody wants to be, that's for sure. You waste life. You can't do anything. I missed out on, I don't even know how many holidays with all you guys. Can't be a father. You can't have a girlfriend. You can't do anything, really. Can't work a job. You can't start a career. Nothing.
So if you're talking to a young kid, would you tell him go get a job, go to take a trade in school? Would your advice be to him? Go to school, take a trade, go to work, right? Forget the nonsense of the street. Is that your advice?
Yeah, as soon as I get out, we talk about that all the time. As soon as I get out, that's the first thing I told you I want to do is I want to have a job ready so I can go straight to work.
And for a young kid, what would you advise a young kid if he's 17 coming out of high school? Would you tell him go to work, go to trade school? What would your advice be?
Yeah, get a job. I mean, school is good too. For me, it's not for me as much, but for other people, that's good too. But I prefer trades and going to a job, getting a decent paying job, and making a life for myself, and hopefully having my own family.
Yeah. How you doing today?
Right. Just
The holidays are here, right? The holidays are here, and you're in prison. I mean, it's not an easy thing. This is what we're trying to tell kids.
no, not at all.
Let me hand you the phone to Scott for a second. Scott's show. Hold on. Ask him whatever you want.
Yeah, Steve, I always preach to the younger generation. I always try and explain to them that we can make fast cash in the streets, but it's not permanent cash. Me and your dad were just talking about, which we didn't get too deep into just yet. You called it the right time. I was saying that there's so many, being that when you come out, you're not going to have to go back in the streets if you don't. You're going to choose to go back in the streets if you want to go back in the streets. There's so many things that are opportunities now that if you have charges on you, like you were saying, get involved in a trade. There's stuff you can take courses online to start building websites, doing a motivational podcast like we're doing today to tell kids, you don't have to go back to that life. It's nice when you're making money and you can sleep at night. You don't got to look over your shoulder.
Yeah, and then the thing is too is it's not just about working, because even when I stopped selling drugs, I was working and stuff like that, but you got to leave everything alone, because I've been locked up for shootings. I had a shooting charge by Jersey City. I got locked up for a gun charge. It's different things, so I was still keeping guns around me. I was still hanging around people that were in those, like, that type of environment. So that's what's gonna come with it. Is if you still, every time I'm off of work, I'm going straight out to the street and hanging out with everybody and smoking and drinking. I got a gun on me and this and that, and that leads back to jail too. So you got to drop everything really. You got to change the people that you hang around with, the places you hang out at. You just got to try to find a girlfriend, have fun, go on dates, start a family, and go to work and not really entertain anything that's due to the streets. Because if you got a gun on you, it's only going to lead to one thing.
I say in sobriety, people, places, and things change immediately. You have to be able to reset everything. And if the people are bringing you down, the places are bringing you down, things are bringing you down, that goes for everything. That goes for a criminal mindset, that goes for a sobriety mindset, that goes for everything. And I always say, you know, my new thing that I said I'm going to start coming out with some inspirational clothing, and one of them, the first one I'm putting out is, I don't want to be the lion in the cage at the zoo. I want to be the lion that runs the jungle. All right, here's your father.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad you called. I just wanted, perspective from prison, so kids out there know what it feels like to be in jail all the years like you've been in, and holidays and different things and sad things that happen with, us losing Chelsea and different things that you go through emotionally by being in prison. And, so people understand the heartache. And, and you have choices to change our life at any point. So, you always have that choice. And when you come home, your life, your mentality is different than it used to be. But, and that comes from reading and hard work. So.
And then, they also got to remember, too, that it's not easy in jail. People think it's not. They got a false impression that our generation isn't fighting, it's just guns. When you come to jail, it's a lot of fights, and you know that because I've talked to you a lot. I've gotten into a lot of fights being in jail. I've gotten into over 10 fights probably in jail, including one a couple months ago, not even 2 months ago. So they got to deal with all that when they come here too. It's not, and especially in the jail, the prison that I'm in now, there's people getting stabbed and stuff like that. In Northern State Prison, it's not as easy. Trenton and stuff like that, people get 20 or more years. I don't know, so. Even my one friend, I told you I haven't seen him for 14 years. He killed someone when I was 17. I just seen him, he still got 3 years left, so.
Yeah, it's a waste of life. It's a waste of, we only get one life, and that's what we're talking about, making right decisions in life. I mean, sometimes you make a wrong decision, you're going to pay for it, and you get your mind right, and you start making the right decisions. So that's what life's about. You have opportunities to redo it again, hopefully. And when you and other guys in your position come home, and I'm working with Oscar Lugo's family, trying to get him home, and he got 400 years, and he's one of the guys I've been talking about. And I'm going to do a talk with his daughter. I believe it's on the 4th, about the corruption of the system and why he got that kind of time without. And he should be home. So we're going to try to get him home. It's very important for people to look up his case, Oscar Lugo. So, I mean, me and you discussed him plenty of times.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of things. My mom, I haven't, she lives in Florida, so I haven't seen my mom because I keep getting locked up. So I've seen her probably once or twice since 2016. It's about to be 2023.
Yeah, this is no way to live life, and that's our biggest goal, is to try to get to the younger kids to understand about what this is about. So, all right, you could call us later on. We got to get back going, and love you, and I'll talk to you later on.
Hopefully I helped a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, you help one person, it's enough, and that's the idea. Help one guy. You have one young kid is the start of it, and that's the movement, one at a time.
Well, hopefully everything works out for everybody. I love you, and I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, I'll see you. Love you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye. You know, it's a hard thing because he's sitting with my son, and he lost his sister, his only sister, while he's in prison. These are the things that people don't see about jail, right? You know, you can, you know, people say, "Oh, I'll do the time." You'll do the time, but the emotional time is the pain. You know, it's not really so much the physical; it's the emotional of being there alone. Like he said, he hasn't seen his mother basically 7 years. He'll never say goodbye to his sister. He wasn't here when she passed, and it's gonna break his heart for the rest of his life. So these are the things that we try to tell kids, you know. And I've been in prisons where I had friends lose their children when I was there, and it's a terrible, terrible feeling that nobody ever wants to know. Being out here is so difficult, but I can't even imagine not being here.
You know, yeah, I mean, people don't understand. I mean, they just don't, and you know, it doesn't get more real than what just happened. You know, that was very inspiring. That was very touching. That was, you know, I mean, that it doesn't get no more real than that. You know what you know. I mean, your son seems like a great kid. I just feel as though that just made some, you know, bad decisions like we all did, and you know, I feel as though that, you know, he can learn from it. I mean, you know, John, a lot of people say about the life, they say like, a lot of guys that I talk to, they say, I was in the life. Anybody that says they don't miss the life is lying to you. But I feel as though you are a true inspiration. I feel like the way you carry yourself, the way you conduct yourself, the inspirational content. I mean, you know, let's face facts. I mean, every time you turn around, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you get to see, you're seeing the country and stuff like that. I think you live better now than you did when you were in the life.
Well, I live in a better way because it's a positive way, right? Everything I do is in a positive influence. You know, I get all these dumb trolls that, you know, bother me on a regular. You see, you know, guys want to talk nonsense because they want to make themselves relevant. So they figure if they challenge me, then they make themselves relevant and they can pretend they're tough. This gives them the ability to say, look, I talked to him like that, or look, he was in our place and he left. And, you know, so it gives them the ability to say those things because they know they're not important. And again, if they didn't look at me as being on top of the mountain, they wouldn't address me. They would, because then I would be a nobody, and they would say, well, what's the big deal about addressing this guy? He's a nobody guy. So, you know, I understand their insecurities, and I understand, and it took me a while to do this. You know, I understand to walk away instead of killing them or hurting them or shooting them like I used to. You know, and that's not an easy thing to do. But as you know, you got guys like you had Robert on your show, who was prior to me, he was the guy in our neighborhood, and you know,
Robert Bordelli, he's going to be on a further episode. We just got done recording. Didn't mean to interrupt you, John.
it's all right. And so he's one of the guys that helped me get through some of my past ego. You know, where you don't want to let things go.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not an easy thing to do. You know, you want to, when guys challenge you, you want to say, okay, you may be stupid and don't know me or don't know the past or think the past maybe is bullshit, whatever you think, but I'll show you, right? That's what you're thinking. But then you don't do it because you know it's only going to bring you back, and then you're going to ruin every kid that you're trying to help. So it's not an easy thing to do.
No, and you know what? I still to this day get challenged on a daily basis. You know, some people, they want to talk to you sideways. That you hear this one's talking this one. I'm thinking to myself like, and I'm not promoting myself as I'm not the local Mike Tyson. I'm not the
Right.
toughest guy in the country. I'm not the toughest guy in the world. I'm not a hard ass. But like when I know people are talking and they ain't made like that, and I hear them, they're saying like false pretenses about me and stuff like that, and then it gets back to me, and I'm just like, I know they wouldn't be saying that if I was standing right next to them.
Right.
But what gets me is all those people are speaking, and I want to say this to guys trying to stay out of trouble. When I wake up every morning, what gets me through the day, not feeding into that negativity, because there's days I just want to get on the phone and call somebody like, who the F do you think you're talking about? You know what I mean? Like, but I got a 7-year-old at home. I run, you know, I go to work every day as a car salesman. I come here at night and sometimes during the day to try and conduct myself about inspirational content. And what gets me through the day is I have a nice big picture in my bathroom. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm getting myself ready, there's a nice big picture of Frank Sinatra, and he once said, "The ultimate revenge is massive success." So I put, like you were just saying about what we were talked about, you turned your life around and made it positive rather than negative. This whole sober sit down is turning a negative into a positive. How could I take negatives in my life and turn them into positives? And that's the inspirational content that I'm trying to promote here, because sober sit down, living sober doesn't mean that I'm not drinking or I'm not using drugs. If you could be stone sober, not using drugs or not drinking, but you could be lying, you can be cheating, you could be just an asshole in society. That's not living sober. Living sober is wanting to help people, being an honest person, somebody with integrity, somebody that carries themselves well, somebody that's respected. Sober just doesn't mean that you're not using drugs or alcohol.
Well, one thing I did learn, and through therapy, and everybody knows, I'm a big believer in therapy, and one of my sponsors on my show is BetterHelp, and I talk about them all the time, and not because I'm promoting them. I don't get anything out of promoting them on your show, because I really believe in therapy. And BetterHelp is one of those, you can just jump on a phone, you can video chat, you can do all those things on a computer, and you don't got to leave your house, it's private. So I think everybody needs to talk to somebody and let it out, and therapy. But I think the biggest thing I learned through therapy is, and it's the same thing when you go to sobriety, different organizations to stop using drugs and drink, is don't think so much for next week or next month. Just think about getting through today. So every advice that every person that calls me, and yesterday I was on the phone with a guy who has a problem with somebody, and he doesn't want to be violent. He used to be violent. He asked me, "John, how do I do that?" I says, "You know how you do that?" And he says, "What?" I says, "What's today?" And he says to me, whatever yesterday was, yesterday, Monday? Monday yesterday was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, it's Monday. What, it doesn't matter the day. And I said, "Did you get through today not doing anything?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Well, there you go." I says, "So you don't really need my advice." I says, "Tomorrow's Tuesday, do the same again. But just get through today first. Go to bed and get through today." So the biggest advice for everybody is just, we all lose our temper. I still lose my temper. I just don't react physically. I mean, you're not going to be a perfect human being. We're not machines. You're going to have some bad days. You're going to have days where it's a little harder for you not to have that drink, or harder for you not to do that drug, or harder for you not to hurt somebody that's bothering you. But you got to push yourself each day. It's a work in progress. And as each day passes, it gets easier. But just get through one day at a time is the best advice. And you got to remember something. You got to keep something in your head every day when you wake up. And you know what that thing is, and it sounds corny and say, man, but it ain't. When you wake up, you look in the mirror, you got to say, hey, I like myself, man. I like myself. And the more you understand to like yourself, you can put up with other people and learn to like and help other people. And it's good when the best feeling in the world is knowing that I'm helping other people. Because people around the world call me, that we had discussions, you reached out, other people reach out. And they know that my experience, the negative experiences I had in my life, helped me. My son was sitting on a porch years ago. He didn't know the guy. The guy had a problem with somebody that had that building. He was sitting there smoking a joint with an older black fella that worked with him, minding his own business. And the kids came back and forth, threatening him 3 times, and my son finally got up and shot him. Right? Now, my son was right, because the kid threatened him and he was going to shoot him. So he said, "What'd you want me to do?" I said, "You should have went in the house." I go, "Why didn't you go in the house?" And he goes, "Would you have gone in the house?" I go, "No, that's why I ruined my life for half my life, because I didn't go in the house. So you should learn from my mistakes, because I've been telling you this for years." And that same guy that was a gangster and a tough guy, the first thing he did when the police came and the ambulance came is he pointed out my son and said, "He shot me." So this is what they're going to do anyway. So all those guys that talk all that rah-rah stuff and that gang stuff, when that kid thought he was jammed up and maybe I don't know how bad he was hit, and the first thing he did was point it out, and then he tried to retract it later on or whatever he did. Didn't matter. The point is, you should have just went up in the house, let him leave, because trust me, that kid the next day or the day after is going to get into it with somebody else, because that kid's miserable in his own life. He needs to work on himself. So now, while you're in prison, my son and other kids that are in prison, Other guys are going to the beach. They're with their girl. They're laying in bed. They're showering. They're ordering a pizza. They're just laying there chilling somewhere. You don't get to do that because you made a bonehead mistake. So that's the advice, right? The advice, same thing in the drugs. If you do drugs, you're just going to keep doing drugs. It ain't going to go away because you like the feeling. I mean, everybody would be a liar if they said they didn't like the feeling of certain drugs. I mean, it's a good feeling. It's something that's, you just have that high, whether it's weed or whatever, and it makes you forget things. But there's other ways to do that make you forget things. And positive ways to build your endorphins, working out, jogging, doing something positive, helping a young kid, helping somebody get involved with cancer for kids. Do things that'll really make you feel great, and you'll have those endorphins that you never seen that a drug could never do for you.
Facing your problems, like when I used to run from my problems, I would get drunk, high, to get away from my problems, but they'd be twice as worse because I distract them for a couple days, a week, or something. So they'd be even worse. Where you learn in sobriety, you face the problems, knock them out of the way, and now they're gone. So you start developing those coping skills, and I like what you said about all that positive, like going to the gym, jogging, helping people, doing all that stuff. Nothing gets me through the day better than when somebody calls me and they're looking for a way out of making a bad decision, and I can help them with a good decision based on my own personal experiences. Because John, you just said you wasted some time in the prison system for a while, but you wouldn't be sitting here today helping other people out if you didn't live that life. Just like I used to sit there and look down the water bottle filled with vodka sitting on my toilet, pretending I was using the bathroom, and I'm drinking water bottle full of vodka, hiding from my family, and I'd sit there and look at it and say, God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? And now, sitting here at the Sober Sitdown, I understand why he took me down the road he did, because I wouldn't be able to talk about that today and inspire other people had I not had to go through that rough journey that got me here today. And, what I want to ask you is, with, the fentanyl awareness and everything like that, why the main reason why I brought you on today with your fans, my fans, and everybody, what's the mission and how can we help you accomplish what you're looking to accomplish?
Well, the mission is to get Washington to pass some bills to change the laws. First, the law has to be an international. Something's got to be done with sanctions against other countries. So it's not individual. Like for me, it's a waste of time to go after an individual dealer. They're trying to combat it. They're doing a decent job lately combating some of the fentanyl that's coming in this country. But if you look at each pill, right, as a gun, and if I just went like this to you with a gun and I'm going to trigger it, that's that pill. There's one dead. I point to him, that's two dead. When they're talking about mass shootings, I'll show you mass shootings. And we could take that fentanyl pill and make it a bullet, because that's what it is, and it's a bullet to the head. And we show that to a politician that doesn't need the votes to win an election like just happened, because I knew they were going to talk about fentanyl. I just, without a doubt, they were going to talk about it because they want the votes. But really, they don't do anything. It's just talk and action. So I need each person from each community to go to their community leaders and insist on something being done from them. And in one person, me going is not good enough. But if you go, and then Steve goes, and then other people, we got to keep pushing it, and then we got to have sanctions on countries like Mexico and China. Why aren't we talking about sanctions on this regime of Chinese government? Xi is doing whatever he wants, and our government is sitting on their hands, not doing anything about. First off, we allowed them with COVID. No one's looking into it. Why not? Why is this administration? That is the number one killer around the world. Why hasn't anybody looked into this investigation? People got to say to themselves, what is the agenda that we are not? What is the agenda that they're not speaking up against fentanyl? So each person that goes out and speaks to the next guy or next kid, you're saving their life. You have to get it through their head every time they take an Adderall. It could be laced with a little sand grade of fentanyl because they're making $1 million and a half off a kilo of fentanyl. That much money, or $3,000 investment. So they will not stop with this. This is not going to go away unless there's some serious sanctions on these countries that are making the synthetic fentanyl. And we got to insist that China also calls it a controlled substance so they can regulate these labs. They refuse to call it a controlled substance. And so for the people that are out there asking, you gotta get more people to sign to their local leadership, politicians, and complain and write me as much as you can on any of my website, johnalite.com, on my Instagram, DM me, on my Facebook. I need an army of people so I can go in with a list to these politicians and say, this isn't me as an individual because I'm not strong as an individual. I need a couple 100,000 people with me. And if you want to get behind the war, this is the war, or the real war on drugs. This isn't cocaine. And, and I'm not justifying cocaine dealers, but cocaine dealers, you do a couple lines of coke, it's bad for you. You do one line, you do one little speck of this drug fentanyl, you're dying. Or you have a great chance of dying from this. This is not a typical where you just take a Xanax and you go hang out and you chill. Because they're lacing Xanax with fentanyl and you're dying. So it is a war. It's not a war like Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't have this many people dying. Why aren't we talking about this the way you talk about the Ukraine war? Why isn't Biden talking about giving $25 billion towards the fight in fentanyl? Why isn't this? And it's hard for me to not call them names because this guy won't do anything about the fentanyl war. The fentanyl war is a real killer. So why are we not talking about the citizens in this country and around the world? Because this is going to start moving everywhere too. Why isn't this being done? And I need people to be more active. I need people to be active I'm involved with different organizations and with Dee Gillen, who I talk about all the time, Black Poster Child. She's an organization that shows how many of these kids are dying, and she goes to different churches around and puts on a display of our kids that have died on billboards, and it's the saddest thing to see lose these many lives. There's not a war in this country that we've ever had through our history that lost this many people, and we're losing it yearly, and it's growing. And not only is the number high, but the number's even higher than we think because a lot of these people that are dying do not get medical examiners to say what they exactly died from. And fentanyl, synthetic, very hard to detect, even if they do have it. So it's not an easy call by these doctors to say that they died from fentanyl besides it.
And at this point in time in the game, Sober Sitdown, we're growing, slowly but at a good pace. By the end of the year, me and my team, we already had bought in the domain to www.sobersitdown.com. We are going to make sure that we're going to have John's direct link, so anybody that comes to our website or anybody that's watching today will be able to get to John's mission, and we're going to attach the link inside the website to hopefully, help him on his journey to fight to get what we need to get accomplished, and get everybody on board. Because let's face facts here. I mean, I'm a father. I want the community safer. I want the communities, because it was on the news the other day here locally. I don't know if Steve, you're about 25 minutes away from me, and parents just got locked up. Their baby touched something.
Yeah, I seen that.
They just got indicted.
Yeah,
the kid was 9 months old or 11 months old.
Yeah. Got
fentanyl on his hands because it touched it could have been cocaine. It could have been anything, but it was laced. The kid's toxicity reports stated that there was fentanyl in the kid's system. So the kid, obviously isn't going to stick a needle in his arm and overdose on heroin. It's not going to, it could have stuck a pill in his mouth.
Did he
I don't
die?
know.
Did he
Kid's
die
dead.
by-
Kid's dead.
Yeah.
Parents just got indicted.
So for the people listening also, there was a guy that went to Disney World with his family, and also he went for a drink and he had fentanyl in his system. So they went for a family vacation and end up with a dead father. And it's not people that are only, so people understand this also. It's being put in candy. It's being put in diet pills without children knowing. So don't order anything online. Tell your kids don't order anything online. Try to be on top of your children not to order anything from websites online, because they're also lacing it with fentanyl. So this isn't just about somebody who's trying to do drugs. It's also about in diet pills. It's also in different medications and pills that people don't know. If you're buying something online, not from your pharmacy, you got to be very vigilant because it's being put in everything. So at the same time, it's going to be used, and there's been threats of it being used in different capacities in drinks and different things. So if it starts to get into those things, also, you're going to have a serious you're going to have some serious consequences without any knowledge. And it looks like for whatever reason they're bringing in even more and more money wise, and this country again for whatever reason is spending trillions, billions on other countries. You're talking about Iran, and they want to send money to Iran for a regime that's killing their people in the street. I believe 1,400 people were killed in Iran during their riots. Instead of us helping the people in the street for freedom, we're sending a regime and making deals or trying to make deals for them to have an atomic weapon. I mean, it's unbelievable what this government is up to. The last couple short 2 years have destroyed this country, destroyed the safety of our people and our citizens, and have done nothing and said nothing to China. They're talking about $4 trillion, and that's McConnell too. Went to the Great Green Deal for fresh air or whatever they're talking about, nonsense with sea and air, and meanwhile it goes nowhere for anybody who's knowledgeable out there. They're flying around in private jets. John Kerry, the czar of clean energy, is flying around with jets. If he believed in what he said, he wouldn't be in jets. The government itself, the administration, would have all battery-operated cars. They don't. And by the way, these battery-operated cars are worse for the air system because they got to mine coal and everything else and the lithium. And so this is another joke. It's another lie. And China and India is not even on board. So if they're not on board and they're doing what they're doing in their countries, nothing's going to be. It's not going to make a dent, not even 1% dent. So this is all nonsense sales pitch to everybody. We just threw away $4 trillion for no reason, as long as China and India don't agree to be in on it. So along with that, you guys got to know you got to know the policies and understand what they're doing. They're stealing money is basically what they're doing.
I mean, John's talking about investing money. Our government's investing money in Ukraine and other militaries. What about the guys that fought for our country? When I got to see driving down the street, I got to see homeless veterans because
you got 45,000 homeless veterans. For people who don't know, you have 125,000 orphanage kids in this house. You have 550,000 overall that are living all over the street, and then we just brought in another 2.5 million. We can't even take care of 750,000 in our country already, and then they allowed another 2.5. This is, again, agenda that they want this to happen so they can control us back to slavery, to modern-day slavery, and they want socialism. They want worse than socialism. They want complete totalitarianism of New World Order. This is what they're looking for. The Great Reset. They're very open about it. Go look at the G20 that they just had and look at what they're talking about with energy and food supplies and everything else. This is a planned thing for the future by these crazy elitists.
I mean, either side, I really, I don't want to get into any, like, QAnon conspiracy theories or anything like that, but, sometimes you actually have to wonder, like, does it go above the government? Is it big pharma and all these other, things that control the actual country rather than the actual government?
Well, they got to change the laws, and you need term limits. That's for sure. And this ballot harvesting's got to stop because our word means nothing. They're full of shit. We became a third world country. If you want free and fair elections, then you have to have that. Since when can't we have an election overnight? Third world countries do it. All of a sudden we can't do it. They can't have voter ID. Why can't we have voter ID? I said, what are you trying to say? There's certain ethnic groups are too stupid to get ID. You need ID for the doctors. You need ID to buy cigarettes. You need ID to drive a car. You need ID to go to a ball game, to get into any event. You need identification. So this sales pitch by this bullshit government that should be locked up, and everybody knows I'm aggressive. This government you need the RICO law. You need independent prosecutors to go after them for the corruption, the stealing of our funds, people's taxpayers' money, and the people. This country is supposed to be about the people. and freedom and the Constitution, and they're trying to stamp on it. And people, the only reason why they're trying to stamp on it is because they're trying to control you. They're not doing it to help you.
Yeah, I think we touched a lot today, John. I think we got exactly to the point we wanted to get with everybody. Turn negatives into positives. The youth of America I really wish people would do their own homework rather than what they're fed, because the problem is we became a lazy economy where people don't do their own research. You can put anything on TV and people will listen to it. What we're preaching here today is start doing your own homework, start doing your own research, educate yourself.
Well, for the kids out there, it starts with the parents. Stop being lazy and get proactive on what's being taught to your children in schools. Stop the brainwashing, the parents that are involved. Fathers, all of us, we need to take care of our kids, be proactive with our children. Religious leaders, you need to come out and speak up. A lot of the religious leaders aren't out there speaking the way they should. They're trying to break down religion in this country. And that's one of the strongest foundations in this country for peace, to stop people using drugs and drinking. And so there should be more religious leaders, no matter what whatever religion you believe in, should be out there, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Catholic, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're Buddhist, whatever. Where are you people that should be out there speaking out for the young kids in the groups and informing them and bringing them back into God and to the belief, so they stay off the street? It's a big problem, and the parents really need to be more proactive. I know it's out there now, and there's a lot more talk. And the young kids that are intelligent, a little older, you should be be role models for your younger brothers and sisters. So that's some of the things. And like I said, volunteer for the elder people. That's what you need for some of the kids. You want to feel good about yourself. You're struggling, go volunteer. Do things that'll help other people, and do something positive, and it'll take you away from the negative thoughts that you have. And I just lost 2 friends recently, one by suicide, Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. One of my really dear, close friends took his own life with depression, and so it's a real thing. And that's a buddy of mine, and I lost another buddy a couple of years back from the same thing. So I'm a big advocate of mental health, and go get help. If you can't get help, if you don't want to talk to a friend or a family, call a place like BetterHelp. It's you're on the phone. You don't even got to go in person. So and my other friend John Marangola was an attorney. He died of a heart attack, and my heart goes out to. These are very close friends of mine. Just had a set of twins, so I'd like to say a special prayer for them, and a couple of words for real good men, 2 really, really good people in my life. So life's not easy, and it's a struggle always, and I know people going through struggles, and we discuss that always. My friend Charlie, my friend Adam, they help me a lot. We have long talks, and so I got people that help me also. They keep me grounded. And if you need to be grounded, you can find me on True John Alite on my Instagram, Facebook. I try to answer as many people as I can. I get thousands of people that write all my sites, so my team writes, and they try to schedule things for me, and then I get back to you. But I do get back to you, and just remember, take it one day at a time.
And that's something new that we're going to be starting here at the Sober Sitdown starting this Wednesday. It's not going to be live, so it's not going to be out this Wednesday, but we're going to start. I put it on my social media websites. I can run up to 12 people per group. I'm going to start actually running groups, not just addiction related. I had a good friend of mine, Todd, who struggled with mental health like I did. I couldn't get sober until I got my mind right. So I didn't just battle addiction. I battled mental health. I was battling financial issues, marital issues, everything. So sometimes people are just lost seeking answers, and they just need to talk to people that can communicate with them rather than sitting in an office setting like a doctor's office, stuff like that. So I'm going to be offering groups every Wednesday night, Eastern Standard Time. The first one we're going to run is 9:15 to 10:15. I'm going to put in the link below my Instagram and my Facebook inbox. All you have to do is inbox me your email, and I just ask that if you're going to take the slot, make sure you're going to show up for the slot, because if somebody else that might need that slot shows up and they couldn't get in because of it, we're going to keep adding groups as we go. And that's something new we're going to be starting at the Sober Sit Down. It's not going to be a private. It's going to be for future release onto the format of the platform of our YouTube channel. So other people that are out there that aren't ready to come out with mental health issues, addiction issues, they can hear real, raw, authentic people discussing real life problems, seeking real life solutions. And you guys, and then if you're ready, you want to come on. I'm not here to recruit people. I'm here to help people. And helping people helps me become a better person.
Remember, you got to remember, people are listeners, you're not the only one going through it. We're all going through it. I mean, life's not easy. We all got struggles, and I know, a lot of times you think you're alone. You're the only one with a marital problem or a family problem, and it's not true. We all have it. I just recently, you guys know, I lost my daughter Chelsea from fentanyl. It's a struggle every day for me to get through it. And unfortunately, there's hundreds of thousands of people just like me, parents that reach out to me every day, and they go through it. You're gonna go through. You're gonna go through crying. You're gonna go through the blame of you blame yourself, and you're gonna go through some mental stuff. I have a son in prison. You just heard talking to me. I have a sick dad. So family stuff's not easy. I've been through divorces, and it's just that's life. And just don't be a quitter. Don't quit. Don't quit on yourself. Just remember, you deserve a life. You deserve some good things, and it takes hard work to get some good things accomplished. It's just like exercising. You don't just get under a bench and start benching 300 pounds. I mean, you got to work your way to it. To be a good athlete, it's the same thing. To be financially well off, you got to work hard. So in anything in life, it's work. You got to put the work in, read some books, listen to some tapes, listen to some soft music, watch comedies, do anything that can help you through the mental depressions, and contact us.
You got to keep showing up every day, like John said, one day at a time. Don't look too far into the future. Focus on the day. Don't lose that focus. You just got to keep showing up. And what I want to end with is I always would say at a lot of my groups that I would run when I was at the juvenile center and stuff, I say, fellas, the only time you're ever gonna see success before work is in the dictionary.
That's right. True.
Hard work, nobody can defeat you. You keep showing up. I had a five-year long road struggle. I went from restarting my life after owning businesses. I was digging ditches for $12 an hour. I was, working in placement centers. I did everything. I was a truck driver, and you know what? I never thought my life was going to get easier. My life was going to get better. And then one day, after you keep showing up, it's just like going to the gym, like you said, John. You might not seek results the first week or two where you're lifting weights. You're like, man, my body's sore. I don't see my body changing. But one day you're going to wake up. You're going to have that ripped six-pack because you kept showing up and you put the work in.
Talk about the gym. I want to say hello to my friend Jimmy that made this chain. Everybody knows I wear it all the time, the Albanian emblem. And he's a trainer with jiu-jitsu, boxing, and everything.
Yeah, Jimmy Sirmo, yep.
So, and the rest of my friends up here, I want to say hello to you guys. I'll probably see some of you later on.
Well, guys, thank you for coming
Thanks,
out. I appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Steve.
having me, buddy.
It's
Okay.
a pleasure. And thank you, guys. Guys, thanks. Like and subscribe. And I hope you guys got some good content out of this one, because I got a lot out of this, and I truly appreciate these guys coming in.
Well, you can check me out on Sink or Swim, my podcast. But we're going to be doing things together, so you guys check me out.